Hello, everyone. I'm Elizabeth Press, and I am founder of D3M Labs. And I am here today with Dani Solà, Senior Vice President of Data and Analytics at Clark. And we are going to talk about operational analytics. It's a topic that you're very passionate about, Dani, and you've been vocal in the analytics and data community about this topic. So I'm really happy to have you here today to get into it with you on this. Could you tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got interested in data and data leadership?
Hi, Elizabeth. It's great to be in the podcast. So for me, it was the case of having great role models that really showed how you can impact a company by using data, and how can influence decisions, and how you can basically change how the company and different teams work. So it was definitely very inspiring for me, but also it kind of happened. At some point, my boss left, and it was the most senior person in the team, and I was asked if I wanted to lead the team. So I just say yes, and then kind of roll with the punches. So yeah.
Okay, great. Just taking the opportunity as it arises. Let's talk about the difference between analytics, operational analytics, and operational performance analytics, and what it means to you.
Yeah, I think that's important because I'm not sure there's clear, agreed definitions of these terms. But for me, analytics is anything that helps people make better decisions. That could be reports or even analysis or deep dives. Then operational analytics is using the data that we've collected for doing analytics and pushing it down to transactional or operational systems. So an example could be sending data to your sales CRM so that the sales agent have more context about the customer that they're calling or talking to. And finally, operational performance analytics is just a part of analytics, actually using data to understand how those operational processes are doing.
Okay, and could operational analytics also encompass automation?
It's exactly using that data to optimize or improve processes. So that could be either just making data available to the agents or the people who are using those systems, but it could also be, tagging different data points differently so that they are processed in different ways. So for sure, it encompasses automation, even machine learning, if you want to get more fancy.
Okay, great. So analytics is this classic telling us how our strategy is working part of data and analytics that usually people think about. Operational performance analytics is measuring the efficacy of our processes, and both of those are somewhat, telling us how we're doing type of
Exactly.
measures. The operational analytics is the automation of delivery of the analysis within a process, or even the automation of a process, right?
Exactly. Like sometimes how I think about it is the thing that uses the analytics data is a person, whereas the operational analytics outcome is to automate or to send data to another system. So who's using the data? Is it a system or a process, or is it a person to make a decision? Yeah.
And why do you find that operational analytics is so valuable to businesses?
Yeah, the most fundamental level is about making sure that everyone has got the same view on the most important things for the business. So we know that modern companies are using a lot of different systems, from marketing networks to sales systems to ticketing systems to you name it. And it's very difficult to have the same view across the company on what's happening. And that's actually what we do in analytics. We bring all this data in one single point, and then we make charts and we report on it and whatnot. So now you can take this very same data and push it to the marketing teams or the sales teams or the service teams that are actually speaking with customers, that add a lot of value in itself. So yeah, the most basic level is making sure that everyone's got the same view on things. But then actually is also about, as you said, automating processes and improving them. So you can actually use this extra data that you have in these operational systems, and you can use it to improve those processes in the systems. So that's the next step, I would say.
And how is this view of operational analytics as even being maybe a little bit higher ROI than the traditional bread and butter data and analytics teams deliverables, such as the deep dives, the dashboards? Because all of our teams are now becoming, we're getting a lot more under scrutiny with the economic conditions and many other factors. So how does this play into it?
Exactly. I mean, I think that at a fundamental level, there's sometimes a certain difficulty in explaining how difficult and how valuable it is to make data for people to make decisions. But at the same time, you can think how we have people who do have these analytic skills across the company, right? So why do I need an analyst if I have someone who is very data-driven or very analytical in the marketing team, for example? So these are questions that are rightly being asked. What happens with operational analytics is that you are embedding yourself into the operational process. And now, if I'm being asked, what do you guys do? I could say, we are part of the sales cycle. So if we don't have this thing or we don't have this person, this breaks and we cannot evolve it. So that's much more tangible or much more understood by everyone. And another thing is that when you have someone doing analysis, what happens is that it's sometimes very short-lived, like, let's do an analysis on what we should do next quarter. You do it, and then that analysis kind of loses value because it's no longer relevant to the company or what we're trying to do now. Whereas if you do an operational analytics system or integration, these will last hopefully for quarters and months and years, right? So it's much more durable, so to speak.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And you and I have talked about machine learning and how operational analytics is so valuable to actually bringing a lot of the machine learning models to market and to actual use and economic value for the company. Could you tell me how that works?
Of course. I mean, one of the challenges that we typically have when we build a machine learning model is how can we actually embed it into the process that we're trying to improve. So typically what's going to happen is you'll have this machine learning model, and now you need to ask an engineering team to query it, get the results, and put it in front of the customer. Or you'll have to ask another team to get the value and change how the sales process is working or the sales systems are working. Whereas if you have already operational analytics, you can just get the prediction and send it downstream to the operational systems, just like you're sending downstream any other data point. So now, if you have, for example, a purchase propensity model, you could embed this data point into the sales CRM very easily and prioritize some leads or some customers over others, right? So without asking for any favors or having to align with other teams. So that's a very clear value add in terms of putting machine learning products live and to be able to iterate quickly. Because it's not just the integration, but actually you want to be able to change it easily over time. And if every time you need to align on OKRs and deliverables with other teams, it just slows things down a lot.
Okay, wow. This seems to be a huge paradigm shift within the analytics world. And so a lot of the data leaders and other data practitioners and even general managers who are listening to this are going to ask themselves, okay, great. I want to get started. What do these people do, let's say Tuesday morning, 10 o'clock? how do they get started?
I mean, the first thing is you need to have a very solid and robust analytics platform and processes and team already. You know, when you are using data to create reports or to make decisions, if something is wrong, let's say, you know, a metric has doubled in value from Friday to Monday. You know, a person looking at that will say, actually, there's something wrong. Let me ask the data team, or let me refresh the thing, or whatever it might be. But if you're using that data to automate processes or to deal with customers in different ways, that's going to have a very economic impact very quickly, right? Because you are disrupting either the sales team or the marketing campaigns, or you are sending the wrong data to the wrong customer, which, you know, these are definitely things that you don't want to. So I would say having a solid data platform and having solid processes to ship this data reliably and correctly, having a lot of tests, monitoring, alerting, these are prerequisites before doing operational analytics, and also data quality and security, right? You don't want to be sending PAI to the wrong systems and then letting the world know that you are not managing data well.
I really love what you're saying about that data has to get a lot more. I usually say professionalized, having a more holistic view of the platform, looking at, as you said, security, at data quality, and really also focusing on having the processes to make all of this work to some set standards. So I think it's moving in the right direction and it's growing up.
Exactly. I mean, same as machine learning, right? Like, you should not start with machine learning, you know, the first thing you do when you're starting doing data analytics in a company. It requires a certain maturity, both in processes and skills and technology. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So how do you know when operational analytics is actually working?
To me, is when those teams that are using that data are coming back to you with changes. Because let's face it, like marketing, sales, service, all these fields are right in front of the customer, and things are changing very quickly. So if they're not coming back to you saying, I need to change the data you're sending me, or I need more data, or I'm going to change my marketing campaigns next week, so please change how you send the data. If this is not happening, basically, it means that the data is not being used. It means that you're not having success. So if what you're doing is valuable, you'll naturally and immediately you'll feel this pull of, I want more things, or I want you to change things.
Okay, so it's the stakeholder engagement that shows you that people care about this.
Exactly. I mean, and it also means that you'll start to have regular touch points with those teams, and even assigning people to those teams. Say, you know, this analytics engineer now is going to be focusing on the sales operational analytics for this quarter. So this person is responsible for making things work and to develop new things and whatnot. So you definitely need to develop this very close alignment with the people and the team that you're working with.
I agree. They also will tell you exactly what they need as well, and it's an ongoing process.
Exactly.
So what are some of the secrets to your success?
I mean, the first thing for sure is this trust and this relationship with the team that you're working with. Because in many cases, at least in the beginning, it's a bit of a leap of faith. Okay, people used to get things done in a different way, either by getting the data from an engineering team, or by, I don't know, doing some no-code changes or whatever. The first, building the relationship and just growing on it and explaining how this new paradigm is going to be better than whatever they have is super important. And once you have this trust and this relationship, that the next most important thing, in my opinion, is having this stability and this maturity in the tools, the people, and the process that you're using for data.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. And how can people get in touch with you?
These days, the only social network I'm using is LinkedIn, so please feel free to add me and reach out. I'd be happy to have a chat on anything data and analytics.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone.